Jesus more.
My dear friends, we have a very interesting story from the first reading, First Kings, about Naboth and King Ahab. So Naboth had a very beautiful vineyard and an inheritance, not just a luxury. It was an inheritance. So it means it was land that was very important for him and his family and the generations that would follow. So that land was very symbolic for him. But and at the other hand, we have King Ahab, who has all the power, who is authority, who says, I want to use that vineyard for my vegetable garden. So luxury. It is not just what I need, but just I want to use it for my vegetable gardens. And he got angry because Naboth told him, no, I cannot give you that land because this is my inheritance. And my children are going to inherit this, and their children's children, my children's children are going to inherit that, and it will pass on through the generations. And because Ahab was angry and could not eat and could not sleep, his wife told him, Jezebel, remember Jezebel is not a Jew, so she is a pagan. She is from Phoenicia, so a pagan territory is not part of the Jewish tradition. But then it was stipulated that the king of Israel was not to commit something, especially to look down on the citizens or the subjects, or to have some kind of to bully. It was not stipulated in the Torah for a king to bully his subjects. So it was against the Torah. So that is why King Ahab, when he was refused that land, he went away, because he knew the Torah. But then he was married to Jezebel, who didn't know any of that, who was used to the pagan way of tyranny and rule. And he said, don't worry, I'm going to take care of that. Just rest, I'm going to take care of that. And he plotted something, and then Naboth was stoned to death, being innocently stoned to death. When I was growing up as a kid, my parents always told me the land is something that eats human beings. It's true. We are created from the world, from the earth, and to the earth we shall return, as you say. What they say is, problems always concerning land always takes human life. That's why my parents always told me that the land always eats human beings. What it means is that when there is always conflict about land, it always ends up people dying, or people losing their lives. But what I want to say today is that heaven does not want to see the tears of the innocent. When the innocents cry, the tears of the innocents wet the hearts of God. And this is exactly what happens in the gospel today. Sometime when I came here in the Philippines, just in the beginning of my stay here in the Philippines, there was going for this Mass of the Alliance of Two Hearts already. And there was a boy who came and shared to me about a very creepy story. I don't know if I've shared about that here. But he was seeing daily, and it was not just a makeup. He said, every night that I slept, I would see a woman with blood on the chest. With blood on the chest. And I was trying to be a bit inquisitive about that. Is that really true, or you are just making up the story? And he said, yes, you can even ask my sister. And the sister confirmed that she had seen it once or twice, not many times. But the brother used to see that every day. And it became a big concern to the family. So I was asked to come there and to bless the house, which I did not only bless the house, but I celebrated Mass there. When I got to know the story behind it, and what was the story behind it? That land used to be owned by a widow. and something happened to somebody, something like what happens in the first reading today. The powerful seized it from this widow and made it into a big estate, and people are living there. And this woman was killed before that happened. And I think before she was killed, she laid a curse or something. So, or maybe her spirit came hunting that place. Land is something that has been there for thousands of years. We just live in these places and we do not know what happens in those places. And that is one of the reasons why we call a praise for a blessing. It's not just to eat food. I mean, when we go for a blessing, people are so focused on eating the food, and maybe some people might not even come for the blessing itself, but they come for the eating later on, for the feast. But it's so important to realize that land is something that has been occupied for many, many years. Land was there from the beginning of time, and generations upon generation come to this very land, and we do not know what might have happened in the past generations over a piece of land. And that's why it's so important that when you have an establishment or a house or something to be blessed, you should have that in mind. And the priest is coming to bless the land, to ask for forgiveness for things that might have happened in the land that were not supposed to happen, and to uproot from that house anything that is evil or all that has been laid against that. Even here in the formation house many years ago, students used to complain of seeing things and creepy. When I just came here to the Philippines, the students were saying very weird stories that I didn't say that it was not right or wrong, it was not true or false, but this was the experience of the students at that time. And I remember after we heard those stories, that was true. Then I realized that at the gym there, where the gym is where during the Japanese War, there were a lot of bodies that were dumped there. There were bodies that were dumped there that were never prayed for. And there were also situations of aborted children found around that place. Because students used to complain about hearing voices of children and things like that. So we celebrated Mass during the All Souls Day. If people still remember that, remember Nangjun? When we had the All Souls Day at the gym, with that intention. So praying for the souls of the forgotten souls that were laid there some time ago, because we never know these things. This history happens thousands of years ago, and souls might still be in purgatory asking for prayers. And after that students never complained again. After the Mass we had there, that went. Meaning that it was a reminder for us to continue to pray for them. Just like for this story of this family, after we had Mass, then I asked them to celebrate a few Masses for the departed souls and for the soul of that widow. And that disappeared. That boy never found anything again after that. So again, it's something to reflect on, but also on the evil that comes with power. The Jezebel and Ahab is king. Therefore, nobody he can do whatever thing he wants. And St. Paul's first letter to Timothy, chapter 1, verse 6. 1 Timothy chapter 6, verse 10 talks about the root of all evil is the longing for power, is the longing for money. Because many, in their pursuit for that, have lost their faith and have pierced themselves with many pains. And we know when we continue to read the story of King Ahab and Jezebel, we realize how they died. It was a very painful death for them as well. But all because of the injustice that they caused to the innocent. Like I said again, heaven does not like to see the tears of the innocent. We must be careful how we deal with things, especially when we are in positions of power, to be able to be gentle, especially to the innocents, and to give them their rights when they cry for it, not to tread on them or not to walk on them in order to achieve our success. No, it doesn't work like that. And God always fights for the innocents. Let us therefore continue to ask God for the grace to be people of justice and integrity and be people who will represent Him by being a light to the nations.
Kiss us, mother, kiss your children. Bring God's blessings from above. With your mantle blue enfold us in your gentle holy love. See the darkness dissipating, hear the trumpet echoing, Satan's rage